And welcome to 700 Club Canada, good friend and author, pastor, Joe Amaral.
Good day, sir.
Man, it's so good to have you here. You know what? We've gotten an opportunity to talk, and I really believe that God is doing something special right now for such a time as this.
Yes.
You know, this particular work that you've been doing a lot of very valuable study into, Story in the Stars, tells some very strategic but also specific things about how God is intentional.
Absolutely.
And you know, when I look at the whole purpose of this book, to me it says, I love you and I know the plans that I have for you. Plans of peace, not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. But you tell us a little bit more why you wrote it, because this is my copy and that's what I got out of it.
You know, it's not a book I planned to write. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, I was traveling to Israel. I mean, I've been there, 42 times now. I've had a ministry there for so long, and I was teaching on the Hebraic roots of our faith and was happy to do that.
Yeah.
People just got over the fact that I was telling them that Jesus wasn't a Christian.
Okay.
You know, they just got on board with that, and all of a sudden God gives me this dream out of left field and tells me to check the constellations and to see that the signs of what we call the zodiac, these 12 signs, that the devil has taken them and perverted them and polluted them. But he said that was never the intention. He didn't create the stars, so he didn't create the signs, and he didn't create the story. You know, and God says in Job, he says, can you loosen Orion's belt, and can you bind the chains of Pleiades? Can you cause the Mazzaroth? In Hebrew means the 12 signs of the zodiac to rise in their seasons. God says, no, I can. And I was blown away that God himself was using the names of these constellations. And so it wasn't something that I was planning on doing, but when I got a hold of it, I said, wow, God, what a brilliant way to tell the gospel. Whether you speak English, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Arabic, Hebrew, it doesn't matter what you speak or don't speak. If you can see these signs that he's placed in the sky, you can get the story that's in the stars. And the story is this, that a Messiah is coming. He's going to die for you, and he's going to save you from your sins. And this is what we see in the heavens.
And that's so powerful, because what you're saying is people all around the world can hear the same message.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's a brilliant way to reach people. You know, we say that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
So there's 48 constellations. Imagine how many words God's saying, but he's always saying the same thing. I sent my son for you. Yeah. I sent my son for you, and that's the power.
And you know, the interesting thing about that is because so often we either get caught in one place or another. You know, the horoscope, you know, the zodiac, what are you? Are you a Capricorn, you're Leo, what are you this? But what we're saying is now, when we connect that to the truth of what God has created them for, it leads us to the ultimate truth, who the Messiah is. You had an interesting experience in Liberia. Tell us about Liberia.
Liberia.
Because this book has taken you around the world. How many countries now?
It has. I just posted a list, I don't know, 35 countries or something like that. You know, and here's this kid from Toronto, you know, just kind of figuring things out, and then God starts opening up doors. And Liberia was one of those places I never saw coming. And I got to be honest, I didn't think a lot about Liberia. You know, I knew it was in Africa. I knew it was a poor country, but I never thought I would be going. I never thought that God was going to use Story in the Stars specifically with Liberia. I had a pastor from there following me on Facebook and YouTube, and he started making comments about the teaching. Wow, brother, this is amazing. You know, Liberia needs this. And then you kind of say, you know, oh, maybe one day, never believing it's going to happen. And then he wrote me, and I cried when I read what he wrote me. He said, he goes, we're not stupid over here, but nobody will come.
Wow.
Nobody will come because there's no money in it. They fly over us to the wealthier African countries, and here they are, the 5th poorest country in the world. Less than 12% of the population has access to electricity, and God says, I want you to go. And I got to tell you, man, the people came through. We put it out on our social media and said, we need to raise X amount of dollars now to buy a ticket. I want to go preach to these people. And people gave in droves, and we raised the money, and we're going, and we're going to bless them. And in fact, I've just written and completed Story in the Stars for Kids, which is really exciting for me.
That's amazing.
This is for moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas, but we wanted to do a version specifically, in my mind, I wrote it for kids in West Africa, because I wanted them to have a copy of it to take to school. And what an interesting way to share it with her friends. So it's like a graphic novel. It's really cool. It's got time travel. It's got a lot of amazing stuff in there.
Sounds a little bit like Superbook.
You know what?
Just saying.
But
It works.
this is specifically pointing kids
Yeah.
towards the gospel.
That's
and what a
fantastic.
time to point them to the gospel during the Passover, Easter season.
Well, we'll make sure that you see that and you get an opportunity to do that, 700club.ca, so you can get a copy of that. Tell me about Liberia, because, I mean, you got me on the edge of my seat right now. you raise this money. Now God is sending you to Liberia. What happened?
Bought the ticket. My son and I are going. He's going to minister to the young people. I'm going to minister to the adults. And I heard the story that in 1908, there was a man living in Liberia, deep in the jungle, in a cannibalistic tribe, which was very common in those days. And he said that after doing all these sacrifices, he was still empty, and he thought, is there any God actually listening to what we're saying? Is there a God really interested in this animal that we just sacrificed to him? In 1908, Liberia, could you imagine the stars, what they were like? And he looked up and he saw this incredible sky, and he spoke to the sky and he said, if somebody made you, if you have a creator, I want you to tell me. And instantly he got this what's the word? He got this sense in his heart, I want you to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Now the beach was a 7-day walk, okay? And this voice, this sense he had said to him that when you get there, I want you to look out into the horizon and you're gonna see a large box on the water.
Yeah.
And you're gonna see smoke coming out of the box. And then you're gonna see a small box come out of the bigger box, and that box is gonna come to shore, and 2 people are gonna get out of the box and tell you who I am. Now, could you imagine hearing this?
And he's having this vision. He's having this experience with God.
Yeah, not a Christian, not a believer. Well, back here in Toronto, a pastor and his wife in 1908 get a sense from God that they're to go to Liberia to preach the gospel. They get on a ship and they get out to Liberia. Now, in 1900, this pastor had gone with 8 people. 6 of them died in 3 months.
Wow.
From disease and all kinds of stuff, lost his wife, came back to Canada, got remarried. God said, go. They're going up and down the shoreline. God speaks to the pastor and he says, here, get off here. I want you to go preach. And the captain said, no way, I'm not going. He goes, why? There's cannibals there. If I send you, you're not coming back. And the pastor was so insistent that the captain said, I'm not going, but you can take the rowboat and go to shore. So he and his wife get in the boat with all their luggage. They go to shore, and there's this man named Jasper on the shore waiting to receive him. Now think about Jasper, got the vision. Go to the water and you'll see a box with smoke rising, a steamship.
Yes.
He had never seen one before.
Yes.
And then a small box is going to come out of the big box, the rowboat.
Yes.
And the 2 people inside are going to tell you about me. And Jasper, through broken English, after a few hours of talking, said, do you know who created that? And they said, yes, we do. And they share the gospel. Now, 110 years later, a Liberian reaches out to me in Canada, and he says, do you know who made the stars? Why are they all there? Why do they exist? And now I'm going to Africa to tell the adults and the kids there is a creator and that he loves you. Brian, I don't know if I'm going to come back, but I'm going to Liberia.
Well, you know, you got me in tears right now. That's why I said I had to hear the story. Because when you talk about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, he died that we may become rich. And that's what Story of the Stars is. I love when you said that Jesus was a Virgo as well. Give me a little touch of that before we go, because I guess you got to tell me that.
Well, at Revelation 12, we have this vision that John sees of a woman, and she has a crown, and she's clothed in the sun, and the moon is under her feet. And you're like, John, what are you seeing on this island? And when God said to check the constellations, I'm like, what if John isn't seeing a vision of a spiritualized idea of Israel or the church or whatever? What if he's actually seeing a sign? And there's only one sign that's a female in the 12, and that's Virgo. And Virgo becomes very crucial to understanding the time of Jesus' birth. I talk about that in the book.
Yes.
And it's one of those things where you look back and you say, there's no way this is accidental. God loves us on purpose. He does things with purpose and for purpose.
Come on, man. You know what? That is just it right there.
That's God.
I need to high five somebody at home. Bam. You know, when you hear that, that just sells it. And it's Story in the Stars. I just enjoy every time we get a chance to sit down and talk with each other. Joe Amaral, Portuguese brother from another mother, and at the same time, man of God. Thank you. And the children's version of this is coming out as well. If you want a copy, 700club.ca. But if you also want more information, 1-855-759-0700. Prayer Partners are standing by. We'll be right back.